The Iranians refused to negotiate while CENTCOM's commander was present. They told Oman, the mediator, that any presence of CENTCOM or any regional military officials in the talks can jeopardize the process. Translation: remove your general or there are no talks. America blinked. Admiral Cooper was excluded from direct negotiations. The talks proceeded without him. And instead of face-to-face discussions, Iran demanded and got indirect shuttle diplomacy through Omani mediators. Let that sink in. The United States of America, the world's sole military superpower, got told by Iran to remove its top general from negotiations, and America complied. This is unprecedented. When was the last time any country successfully demanded that America exclude military leadership from diplomatic talks? Never. Not Russia, not China, not North Korea. Nobody tells America who can attend negotiations, except Iran just did, and America accepted it. But the humiliation gets worse. The talks weren't even direct. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi refused to sit across from Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. Instead, Oman's foreign minister, Badr al-Busaidi, shuttled between separate rooms, carrying written demands back and forth like a waiter taking orders. America would write down its demands. Oman would deliver the paper to Iran's delegation in a separate room. Iran would write their response. Oman would carry it back to the Americans. Then repeat. For 8 hours, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. local time, the most powerful country on earth couldn't even achieve face-to-face talks with Iran. They sat in separate rooms, passing notes through Omani intermediaries. And here's what those notes said. America's demands: Iran must agree to zero uranium enrichment on Iranian territory. Iran must severely limit or eliminate its ballistic missile program. Iran must stop supporting Hezbollah, Hamas, and Houthi forces. Iran must cease threatening Israel. Iran's response? No. Specifically, Iran said, according to Reuters sources briefed on the talks, missiles are completely non-negotiable. Well, we will never discuss our defensive capabilities or missiles in any negotiation. Never. Not maybe, not under certain conditions, never. On nuclear enrichment, Iran rejected American demands for zero enrichment, but said they'd discuss the level and purity of enrichment, or possibly a regional consortium to manage Iranian uranium. That's not a concession. That's Iran saying, we'll keep enriching uranium, but we can talk about the details. Foreign Minister Araghchi described the talks publicly as focused exclusively on nuclear issues. Not missiles, not regional proxies, not human rights, just nuclear. And even there, Iran is offering minimal flexibility. Axios reported that some portions of Friday's 8-hour marathon did include brief direct exchanges between Witkoff and Araghchi, but the format remained primarily shuttle diplomacy, with Oman mediating. This represents a complete reversal of normal diplomatic protocol. Usually, Iran is the isolated pariah state desperate for sanctions relief, begging for meetings with American officials. Now, Iran is dictating terms. Location, Muscat instead of Istanbul. Format, indirect instead of direct. Participants, no military officials. An agenda, nuclear only, missiles off limits. And America is accepting Iranian conditions, because the alternative is walking away and explaining to nervous Arab allies why diplomacy failed. 9 Middle Eastern countries, including Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey, lobbied the White House at the highest levels to keep these talks alive. They're terrified of regional war. So Trump agreed to Iran's demands for the talks just to avoid being blamed for diplomatic collapse. But accepting Iran's terms has a cost. It signals American weakness. It shows that Iran, not America, controls the diplomatic process now. Let's talk about why Iran felt confident enough to humiliate America this way, and what it reveals about the real power dynamic between Washington and Tehran. First, the military context. While diplomats shuttled between rooms in Muscat, CENTCOM published new footage of the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier operating in the Arabian Sea. The propaganda message was clear. We have overwhelming military power in your region. Except Iran knows something CENTCOM isn't advertising. That carrier is vulnerable. Iranian anti-ship ballistic missiles can reach it. Drone swarms can overwhelm its defenses. And if fighting starts, thousands of American sailors could die before the Lincoln escapes Iranian weapons range. That's why Iran can afford to exclude Admiral Cooper from talks. They're not intimidated by American military power anymore. They've studied how to sink carriers. They've deployed missiles specifically designed to defeat Aegis defense systems. They know the economics favor them, cheap drones versus expensive interceptors. So when Cooper showed up in Muscat, Iran saw it as an intimidation tactic and called America's bluff. Your general doesn't scare us. Remove him or no talks. And America removed him. Second, the diplomatic context. This meeting almost didn't happen at all. Earlier in the week, America rejected Iran's request to move talks from Istanbul to Oman and to change from multilateral, with observers from other countries, to bilateral format. A senior U.S. official told Axios on Wednesday, "We told them it is this or nothing, and they said, okay, then nothing." The official added that if Iran refused the American format, people will look at other options, meaning military strikes. Iran called that bluff too. They said, fine, no talks. And suddenly 9 Arab countries started panicking and lobbying Trump to reconsider. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, Oman, Jordan, Bahrain, and Kuwait all told the White House, please don't cancel the meeting. Please keep diplomacy alive. Please don't trigger regional war. Arab leaders are terrified of what happens if America strikes Iran. They know Iran will retaliate against U.S. bases throughout the region. They know oil prices will spike. They know their economies, dependent on tourism, investment, and stable energy markets, will crash. So they begged Trump to accept Iran's terms, and Trump blinked. Within 24 hours, the White House reversed course and agreed to Iran's demands. Muscat, not Istanbul, bilateral, not multilateral, nuclear-only agenda. That's the second time in 1 week that Iran dictated terms and America accepted them. Third, the substantive context. Iran entered these talks from a position that looks weak on paper, but is actually quite strong strategically. Every month, Trump faces more domestic political pressure as economic conditions worsen. So Iran can afford to be inflexible. They don't need a deal. America needs a deal to show Trump achieved something through negotiations, to avoid military action that could sink carriers and kill thousands, to prevent oil price spikes that would trigger a recession. That asymmetry explains today's humiliation. The desperate party makes concessions. And right now, despite all appearances, America is the desperate party. Trump needs to avoid war before November midterm elections. He needs to prevent oil shocks that crater the economy. He needs to show his art of the deal skills work on the world stage. Iran just needs to survive until Trump loses patience or changes priorities. And while they wait, they keep building missiles and enriching uranium. That puts Trump in an impossible position. He needs Iran to negotiate on missiles to satisfy Israel. But Iran absolutely refuses to discuss missiles. So Trump can either sign a nuclear-only deal and watch Israel trigger war, or walk away from talks entirely and take blame for diplomatic failure. Iran knows Trump is trapped. That's why they can humiliate him by excluding his general, forcing indirect talks and dictating the agenda.